Well, good morning. For practice today, we'll be doing some hip opening. And for the heart space intention, I was thinking about this idea of the power of taking a moment to pause and how that moment of pause, what changes trigger and response cycle to stimulus, or trigger and reaction cycle to stimulus and response. And so we have this space to choose a mindful response to whatever's happening within us or around us. And um, I found this little thing I had saved a while ago, which I like how it's phrased because it's called the sacred pause. And so thinking of this moment as sacred, this space that we create between the stimulus and our response is sacred, because that's a really powerful place where we can create that mindful shift. It says, when we pause, we don't know what will happen next. But by disrupting our habitual behaviors, we open to the possibility of new and creative ways of responding to our wants and fears. And so seeing how our yoga practice is this tool of mindfulness, and when we are moving through our life mindfully, we have more of that inner strength to notice what's happening and to feel the response in us as it's bubbling up. As something happens within or around us, we can start to feel that before we get into the reactionary space. We feel the wave coming. And that, again, is that really powerful space where we then get to make a decision on how we want to adjust according to what we're experiencing. And so through our practice today, we're going to go slow. And slow, I always like to remind people, is not easy. So going slow, so you have that choice to choose how you're moving across your mat and through every shape, to make the choice if you want to stay somewhere longer, or to make the choice on how you move from one posture to the next in that really intentional and energized way. And so that every moment becomes this practice of taking our time and moving powerfully. And powerfully, again, isn't fast. It doesn't mean we're straining, but powerfully is this grounded and steady strength that exists within us. And so with that, we're going to start in a little meditation. We're going to be beginning in a child's pose today. So you can start on your back body, you can start in child's pose, you can start in a seat, whatever feels really comfortable for you in this moment. And go ahead and just take a minute to adjust into whatever shape you want to begin in. Whatever shape you've decided to start in, finding some length along your spine. Can you facilitate that length along your spine with your breath? Every inhale, creating more extension from the bowl of your pelvis, the crown of your head. And every exhale settling into this present moment. And perhaps as you start to deepen your breath and begin to create space from the inside out with your breath, maybe activate your Ujjayi pranayama. So starting to find that oceanic breath. It travels through your nose and reaches across the back of your throat. As you pay close attention to the movement of your breath and the quality of your breath, start to become aware of how your body feels in this moment. Noticing any sensations that are present in your physical vessel. And also checking in with your heart space. Noticing any feelings or emotions that are present. And shifting some of your attention to the thoughts moving through your mind. Can you lean back in your mind, in your awareness? That seat of the mindful observer. You can watch your thoughts as they arise and as they travel through. And you check in with each level, your body, your heart, your mind, and notice what's present. You notice without judgment. Shifting from that place of judgment and comparison into a place of curiosity. And it's from this place of curiosity that we become more open. And it's from that place of openness that we actually begin to understand and know who we are a little bit more. So again, throughout our practice today, taking your time, making that space to really pay attention so we can shift a trigger to a stimulus and a reaction to a response. As you bring maybe one or both hands to your heart, if you're in a seat or on your back body. Taking this final moment, maybe set a personal intention, an individual intention as well. As you hold that intention at your heart, we'll take a cleansing breath together. So when you're ready, deep breath in through your nose, fill your lungs all the way to the top. And then open mouth exhale, release that breath out. And take your time. Once you're ready, slowly and gently start to find your way to a child's pose. Allow your knees to be wide if that feels okay. Otherwise, knees can be more narrow, about hips distance. Your hips are going to reach back towards your heels, arms reach out in front of you. Excuse me here. And as you find your child's pose, just take 3 intentional breaths. And from our child's pose, we're going to kind of thread the needle variation. So you're going to sweep your right arm underneath your left arm. Your right palm is going to face up to the sky, so your heart is resting into your bicep. And instead of twisting open to the left, think about squaring down to the earth. So let your left armpit be heavy, forehead to the ground. Again, take a couple of rounds of breath. Think about pulling your shoulders away from your ears. And then just as you're ready, follow an inhale to reach your right hand forward. And as you exhale, you're going to thread your left arm underneath your body. So again, left palm faces the sky. Left bicep is rotated up towards the sky, and your heart is pressing down towards your bicep. Shoulders out of ears. Shoulders square to the earth, so your right armpit is heavy towards like your left forearm, your forehead to the earth. As you slide your shoulders out of your ears, breathe. And just moving at the pace that feels true for you, you'll eventually reach your left hand forward and start to shift forward into your tabletop pose, all fours. But then inhale, lift your heart and tailbone to your cow pose. Draw your navel to your spine, stretch through your belly, and then on your exhale, cat pose, start to press through your hands, push your shins into the ground, and round your spine. And 2 more cycles of your breath. Inhale to lift your heart and tailbone to cow. And your exhale will guide you to your cat pose. Last round, deep breath in. Open through your front line. And on your exhales, you find cat pose. Really round your spine, spread your shoulder blades, create that space to the back of your body. You'll come to a neutral spine, so just your traditional tabletop next, and you're going to send your left foot out to the side. So your left foot is planted on the earth in line with your left hip. Try to root down to the forward corners of your left foot, and then energize your leg. Get strong through your left leg. We're going to shift our hips back towards our right heel, so it's kind of like an extended like child's pose, and then shift forward. So twice more like that, staying really strong through your left leg. Think almost like cow spine here, so proud through your heart, tailbone to the sky as you shift forward and back. And the next time that you find yourself forward, shoulders over wrists, you're going to engage your belly, root down through your right shin bone, start to slide your left toes to the back of your yoga mat, and just press back through your left heel for a moment to open up through your calf. Your right hand becomes your base, modified side plank. So as you kickstand through your right leg and spin your left heel to the ground, lengthen your left fingertips up to the sky. Pull your front ribs in, draw your navel to your spine, and gently press your hips forward. And then start to lift through your outer left hip strain. Modified half moon. Feel your outer seat help to lift your left leg in line with your spine as you flex to your left foot. Think about pressing your left heel slightly back as you press your hips forward. Core working really strong. Take a big breath in. Now on your exhale, you're gonna look to the top of your yoga mat. Use your belly strength to step your left foot forward. Let your right shin pivot with you. Anjaneyasana. So as your left foot steps forward, lift up through your heart and hands. Big breath in. Good. On your exhale, we're going to a modified side angle. So your left forearm is going to go to your left thigh. Turn your right toes behind you as you pivot open to the right side of your yoga mat and reach your right hand up. So just like your side angle, but we're on our right knee. If you feel like you have a lot of space in your hips this morning, or you want to go a little bit deeper, you can reach your left fingertips or palm to the earth on the inside of your left leg. And take another breath or so there. I'm going to turn up the lights a little bit. Like that is helpful. Okay. So from whatever depth of modified side angle you're in, go ahead and bring your right hand to the earth and take your right toes to point to the back of your yoga mat. So you're in this kind of like modified lizard lunge. Right, from here, lengthen out your left leg into a slightly wide modified half split. So fingertips can be really helpful here. You can always adjust where your left leg is in space, but flex your left toes back to your face. As you stretch your sits bones back in space, feel your heart reach forward and up. Good. From here, we'll rebend into our left knee. Tuck your back toes underneath and lift your back knee. So you're in a lifted lizard lunge. Walk your fingertips out in front of you, lengthen through your spine, stretching your rib cage and your pelvis in the opposite directions. And when you're ready, you can walk your hands a little bit closer and you're going to lean into the strength of your left leg. Come to your right tippy toe. As you press to your left foot, we're taking an active malasana squat. So right foot's going to go wide, but you're only going to sink partially down. So instead of dropping all the way into your malasana, think about staying lifted like 3 to 5 inches higher from that greatest depth. Reach your hands forward, stretch your sits bones back, take a big breath in. On your exhale, keep your feet as wide as they are. Forward fold, booty to the sky, drop your head to the earth. You're going to sink back into that active malasana. On your inhale, sink your hips down, reach your hands forward. One more time, forward fold as you exhale, hips high, heart low. This time, inhale back into your active malasana, hands reach forward. As you exhale, press your feet slowly start to rise all the way to stand. Breathing in to finish your transition to the top. Keep your feet as wide as they are. Let your left hand fall beside you. Left fingertips are going to trace down your left thigh as you side bend to the left. So lean to the left side of the room, reach your right fingertips overhead. Breathe into your right side body. When you're ready, inhale, lengthen up through center, both hands to the sky. Second side, right fingertips trace down the outside of your right leg. So your left hand lengthens up and over. Active legs, breathe into your left side body. Then bring it back to center, both hands to the sky as you inhale. Heel toe your feet together with your exhale and forward fold. Soft knees, hinge at your hips. Now you're in this traditional forward fold. Breathe into a halfway lift. As you breathe out, step your right foot to the back of your yoga mat. Dip your right knee to a hover, so you're in a cow lunge. Pull your heart forward as you inhale. And cat lunge, lengthen your legs as you exhale. So still opening to the same side of the body. If you want to here, you can flex your left toes to your face. If you want more, keeping your left leg long, your left toes flexed to your face. Bend your right knee towards a hover and pull your pelvis back. Think about creating an anchor through your left heel and isometrically dragging your left heel to the back of your yoga mat. Okay. From whatever hamstring stretch variation you're in, rebend into your front knee and step into a high plank pose. Left foot will join your right. Let up through your quads, let it through your core, press through your hands. Take a slow inhale in and a slow exhale out. Shoulders out of ears. On your inhale, you're going to bend your knees to a hover. Push your hips back towards your heels. Think like hovering child's pose. On your exhale, shift forward through high plank and lower all the way to your belly, slowly to the earth. As you untuck your toes, press down to the tops of your feet, your toenails. Inhale to your low cobra. Activate the strength along your spine. And exhale to release. And inhale to a low or a high cobra. Feel free to lift up a little bit taller. You want pulling your hands towards your hips to pull your ribcage away from your pelvis. And exhale to release. And you choose low cobra, high cobra, or upward facing dog. Take a big breath in. On your exhale, we're going child's pose. Drop your knees, round your spine as you reach your hips to your heels. Just one breath in. Maybe an open mouth exhale out. So you shift forward to your tabletop pose. Reach your right foot out to the side. Engage the strength of your right foot. And then start to send your hips back in space. And forward in space. About 3 rounds, shifting forward and backward. Okay. And the next time that you're forward again, shoulders over wrists, you're going to engage your belly. Send your right toes to the back of your yoga mat. Take a little stretch to your right heel, lengthen to the back of your right leg. And then modified side plank, rotating open to the right. Send your right fingertips up to the sky. Pull your front ribs in and your navel to your spine, but press your hips slightly forward so your pelvis stays in line with your left knee and your left hand. From your outer right side body strength and your outer right seat strength, lift your right leg up. You're in a modified half moon. So creating some opposing action here as you pull your navel in and lengthen your tailbone to the back of your yoga mat. Your right heel's pressing slightly to the wall behind your heart. That'll help activate more of your seat. Keep squeezing through your outer right glute. Take an inhale. As you exhale, look forward. Use your core to step your right foot to the top of your yoga mat. Your left toes pivot with you, and you're in Anjaneyasana. Lift up through your heart and hands. Big breath in. Modified side angle. So again, your right elbow is going to go to your right thigh. Pivot your left toes so your left hip is open to the long left side of your yoga mat. You can stay here, or if you want to go a little deeper, right fingertips or right palm on the inside of your right foot. And use your right arm on your right leg as leverage to help twist your left shoulder back and open. Take a nice big breath in. And on your exhale, left hand's coming to the ground. As you take your left toes towards the back of your yoga mat, half split, modified split. We're going to lengthen through your right leg, flex your right toes to your face. Remember, you can adjust the placement of your right foot here. Sometimes taking the foot wider makes a half split more accessible. Think calf, spine, heart, and tailbone lift to the ceiling. Find that root through your right heel, that rooted energy, and drag your right heel isometrically back. And take one more breath in. On your exhale, bend into your right knee. Make sure your right foot's wide enough so your hands can be on the inside of your right foot. As you tuck your back toes and lift your back knee into a lifted lizard lunge. Now, strong through your right foot, use the strength of your right leg to actively press the four corners of your foot into the earth, and then reach your fingertips out in front of you. Think about pulling your pelvis back as you drag your ribcage forward for a moment. Strong legs, take a breath. As you walk your hands a little bit closer in, you're going to lean into your right foot, come to left to be toes. Try not to push off your left foot. Active malasana. Press down with your right foot and step it forward. Sink your booty about halfway down. Reach your hands in front of you. Press your pelvis back in space. Take a nice full inhale. As you exhale, feet stay wide, forward fold, booty to the sky. And inhale, active squat, sink into your seat, reach your hands forward. And exhale, forward fold. Stand, inhale to your active squat. As you exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Slowly start to press into your feet as you breathe out. And then inhale all the way up and you circle, sweeping your hands to the sky. This time on your exhale, heel to your feet to your traditional about hips distance stance, or feet to touch, and forward fold. At the bottom, take a little half lift on your inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then step your left foot back as you exhale. So again, still working with the right side, we're going to come into our cow lunge. As your left knee sinks low, stretch your sternum forward. Think about your thigh bones moving in opposite directions. So I like to imagine my left thigh bone sliding back towards the back of my yoga mat. My right thigh bone is sliding forward towards the front. When you're ready for your hamstring stretch, lengthen out your legs. So again, you have your cat lunge here. You can flex your right toes to your face in your cat lunge. You can flex your right toes to your face and then also bend through your back knee to a hover. And then make sure that if you're finding the bend through your back knee, you're actively pulling your right heel back, your pelvis back and up, and your chest forward. And take one more breath wherever you are. So we bend into our front knee, we step it back into high plank. Right foot meets your left. Slow, steady inhale. Give yourself the time to feel this shape. Slow, steady exhale. Navel to spine, shoulders that have ears. On your inhale, bend your knees, shift your pelvis back in space. On your exhale, chaturanga, shift forward. Lower halfway or all the way to the earth. On your inhale, open your heart, cobra or up dog, you choose. And exhale to downward facing dog, hips to the sky. Just take a moment here. This is your first downward facing dog of the day. So give it a breath or two. Feel free to add in any movement as you're in your downward facing dog. Then we're going to add into our hip opening sequence. So from our downward facing dog, use your inhale to lift your heels up really high. On your exhale, think cat spine. Roll forward like a wave to your high plank pose. Once you find your high plank like we did before, on your inhale, bend your knees to a hover, push your hips to your heels. Now listen, you're going to turn your toes towards the left side of your yoga mat and shift forward into a side plank. Right hand stays on the earth. Reach your left hand to the sky. Good. From here, press the four corners of your left foot down into the ground so the sole of your left foot's completely rooted. Take a big breath in. On your exhale, maybe you can pull your right knee to your chest and tap your left elbow to your right knee. Good. Going to a three-legged dog. Bring your left hand to the ground and reach your right leg to the sky. Big breath in. Exhale to bend your right knee open through your hip. Half dog. Take a full inhale. Step your right foot to the outside of your right hand as you exhale. Lizard lunge. Drop your left knee down to the ground. Pull your heart forward as you breathe in. Just for a moment on your exhale, big circle sweep, right hand reaches back for a twist. If you'd like to intensify the thigh stretch of your left quad, bend your left heel to your seat. Perhaps your right hand catches your left foot. A slow breath in and a slow breath out. From here, as you return to our lifted lizard lunge, hands on the inside of your right foot, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. We're going to go to a horizon lunge, pivoting all 10 toes to the right. So kind of like a side plank, you're going to turn your toes to the right. Your right foot's probably going to slide back about maybe halfway down your yoga mat, depending on how sticky your hips are. Left palm stays on the earth like side plank. Reach your right hand to the sky. Actively flex through your feet. If you want to, you can inhale, sink your hips down, reach your right hand to the back of your yoga mat. On your exhale, lift your hips up into the stretch. Think about this as like a sideways half pigeon. One more time, we inhale, sink down. This time as you exhale, rise up, you're going to turn all 10 toes to the left. Keep turning to the left to a wide-legged forward fold. You might need to adjust your feet a little bit, but settle into your wide-legged forward fold. We'll breathe into a halfway lift. On your breath out, bend your left knee for a side lunge or a skandasana. So feel free to sink down into skandasana. Your hips feel open and ready to do so. Feel free to explore with arm variations. You can spread your wings. You can bring hands to heart. If you're in skandasana, you can twist your right hand to the sky. Good. And then from your skandasana or your side lunge, turning to the back of your yoga mat, low lunge to the back. Rotate your right foot down so you're in the feet of your warrior two. We're going into our deep side angle. So left fingertips or left palm on the inside of your left leg. Reach your right hand to the sky. Even if you're used to going to that more lifted side angle variation where your left elbow is on your left thigh, take this for a moment. If you want to, press your feet and then bring elbow to thigh. Okay. From whatever variation you're in, take a big breath in. On your exhale, we're going to be finding a high crescent lunge. So you're going to unhook your right heel, turning to the back of your yoga mat, high lunge as you inhale. Hands to heart, sink your right knee to a hover as you exhale. Big breath in for the length and lift of your spine. Think about lifting your back low ribs off of your pelvis. Airplane pose, slowly tip forward into your left leg. Just like the transition into our active squat, try not to push off the back foot. Lean into your front foot. Maybe your right toes drag a little bit as you root to fly. Yeah, slow and steady here. Take a moment to find your breath as you find your balance. Using the power of your left leg, slowly step back into your high crescent lunge. Right toes return to the earth. Inhale to lift up. And exhale, warrior two. Star pose, turn your toes to face the long edge of your yoga mat, reach high. And goddess squat, heels in, sink it low, bring your hands to your thighs. Again, inhale, get really proud of your chest. On your exhale, dip your left shoulder in, bend through your right elbow as you twist your gaze to the top of your yoga mat. Inhale draws you back through center. And exhale, second side. So as you twist your heart to the left and dip your right shoulder and bend into your left elbow, that's going to help you deepen your twist. Gaze will be over your left shoulder. Take a moment. Then bring it back to center as you breathe in. Hands to your heart. Start to press through your heels, slowly rise it up, lengthen all the way through your legs. As you pivot your toes forward, micro bend your knees, slow and controlled hinge to your wide-legged forward fold. Using the strength of your legs to lower you down. Take one cleansing breath here. So inhale through your nose and exhale out of your mouth. Okay, halfway lift with your breath. Returning to the back of our yoga mat again. So rotate to your left and step back into your high plank pose. Left foot meets your right. Take an inhale here. On your exhale, draw your navel to your spine, press your hands, just getting that more refined plank pose. With your next breath, bend your knees, press your hips to your heels, shoulders out of ears. Exhale, chaturanga or downward facing dog. You choose. And as you find your way back to downward facing dog, take a big breath in through your nose. Again, another exhale out of your mouth. Finding second side, breathe in to lift your heels high. On your exhale, roll forward to high plank, then cat spine, like a wave to your high plank. With your breath in, again, bend your knees to a hover, reach your hips to your heels. Listen, on your exhale, you're turning your toes towards the right and a push forward into a side plank. Left hand stays on the earth, your right hand's reaching to the sky. You're on second side. The four corners of your right foot root into the ground. Feel your strong left side body, navel pulls in. When you're ready, maybe pull your left knee towards your chest, and maybe your right elbow taps your left thigh. Try to keep your heart pulling forward, or crunch it in. Feel the two different sensations. Three-legged dog, right hand to the earth, reach your left leg to the ceiling. Bend through your left knee, open your hip. Nice deep breath in. With control, left foot steps to the outside of your left hand. Lizard lunge. Release your right knee to the earth. Pull your chest forward, big inhale. Option to circle seek your left hand back in space for the twist. You can incorporate your quad stretch by bending your right heel into your seat. If it's available, left hand catches right foot. Nice full inhale. And slow exhale. As we find our way back into our lifted lizard lunge, tuck your right toes and lift your right knee. Moving into our horizon lunge, again, this is like our side plank and half pigeon had a baby. Right palm stays on the earth. You're turning your toes to the left. Adjust your left foot as needed. So you might have to slide your left foot a couple inches back. And then rotate your heart open to the sky, reach your left hand high. Activate your feet, flex your toes back towards your shins. If you'd like to, inhale, sink your hips, reach your left hand to the top of your yoga mat. On your exhale, lift up into that big hip stretch. One more time, option to sink and reach to the front as you inhale. Pivoting to our wide-legged forward fold, turn to the right, to the right, to the right. Keep turning to the right and dive down. And if you need to adjust your feet, take a moment to adjust. As an inhale travels through your body, lengthen halfway. And follow your exhale to bend your right knee. So again, this can be your side lunge or your skandasana. And taking an extra moment here, think about the energy through your legs. So left thigh is active. Right outer seat is helping to encourage your right knee wide. If you're used to sinking into your skandasana, if you're in a skandasana, think about lifting your hips up 2 inches and pressing your sits bones back in space. So it's kind of like that malasana action here. Maybe you find some sort of variation in your arms. So you take one more breath. Okay, here we go. We're going to pivot to the front of our yoga mat, low lunge. Once you have your feet about hips distance, then start to set up your feet like warrior 2. As you travel to your deep side angle, right hand on the inside of your right foot, you can be on your fingertips or your right palm. Give this just one moment, feeling the depth that maybe you don't allow yourself to go and experience. So oftentimes I think we start in this lifted side angle and we never explore a little bit further by going towards the earth. If you want to from here, feel free to press up into your more familiar space of elbow to thigh. And as we make this next transition, feel free to use your hands for support. So I know the first couple times I've done this transition in a class, it felt really awkward in my body. Now it feels a little more smooth. So if you want to use your hands for support, no worries. We're going high crescent to face forward. You're going to unhook your back heel. Press through your feet, big push. Inhale, lift your heart and hands. On exhale, left knee hovers, hands to heart center. Again, think about lifting your back, low ribs off of your pelvis. It's going to help lengthen the front of your left hip. We're going airplane pose next. So slow motion, shift it forward. You can always stay in an airplane lunge if you don't want to go into the balance. Otherwise, press through your strong right leg and find your fight. Just here for about 2 to 3 breaths. Think about length and strength through your entire body. Energize through your arms. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other to open your chest. And focus on the depth of your breath. When you're ready to make your transition out, see how slow you can go. Bend into your right knee. Think about reaching your sits bones back in space as you lightly land your left toes to the earth. In your high crescent lunge, just take a moment in your warrior 2. And we'll breathe into star pose, giving the right leg a break. Exhale, goddess squat legs, heels pivot in, bring your hands to your thighs. And inhale to lengthen through your spine. And on your exhale, dip your left shoulder in, bend your right elbow as you twist your gaze over your right shoulder. We'll inhale through center. Second side, as you dip your right shoulder in, bend your left elbow, rotate your gaze up towards the sky. Breath in brings us back to the midline. And as you're ready, hands to heart. And tall through your spine so that your shoulders lean back. Draw in through your belly and then press down through your feet and slowly lengthen your legs. Feel the power of your legs at the top. Turn your toes forward and micro bend your knees. And as you hinge forward, go slow. Go slow, slow, slow as you find your way back into your forward fold. Good, deep breath in. Maybe open mouth, exhale out. Taking your time will eventually lengthen halfway with our inhalation and exhalation. Pivot to the front of your yoga mat. You'll be framing your right foot this time. Adjust your feet as needed. High plank pose, right foot steps back. One full breath here. On your inhale, bend your knees to a hover, push your hips to your heels. On your exhale, your transition to down dog, maybe travel through your chaturanga. Maybe you add something in, you skip a part of it. We'll find our way back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in through your nose. And open mouth, exhale out. Okay, inhale, lift your heels up high. On your exhale, bend your knees, step or hop to the top, forward fold. Soften through your knees, let your head just hang heavy for a moment. Maybe take pinkies to opposite elbow creases to hang. In your ragdoll, you can shift your weight from side to side. Maybe bending through one knee then the other, just exploring the space in your hamstrings. And take your time to release your arms. With the breath in, lengthen halfway. Let your sits bones stretch back in space. Crown forward, shoulders pull out of ears. And exhale, chair pose, sink into your seat. Lift your heart and hands. Take a nice big breath in. Exhale, airplane your arms. As you lean your energy to your left foot, come to your right to be toes. Continue to press your left foot to pull your navel to your spine, and then flamingo your right foot to your seat. We're going to rise up with our right leg, one-legged Tadasana. Take a big breath in. And on your exhale, you choose a figure four or tree pose. So either right ankle on your left thigh, or right foot to your inner left leg. Perhaps hands come to heart, or feel free to explore again with your arms. You can find movement with your arms, or just a different variation for your hands. Take one more breath here in your tree or your figure four. We're going to rise back up to our one-legged Tadasana. Take all the time you need. Big breath in. On exhale, we're going to explore a little moment in our half moon. So we're going to bend through your left knee. Use your strong belly. Think about the external rotation through your right hip. Circle sweeping your right leg back in space. Go slow, slow, slow. You're going to start to extend your right leg back. Maybe spreading your wings. I personally like to look down at the earth. I find it's really helpful for stability. You can keep a micro bend in your left knee. Once you have that power and length to your right leg, just like we practiced with our knee on the earth at the very beginning of our class, think about tipping your right shoulder back to stack over your left. Take a big breath in. On your exhale, as slowly as you can, warrior two. Place your right foot to the back of your yoga mat. Big breath in, reverse your warrior. Re-lengthen your left side body. And on your exhale, side angle, tip it forward. Any version of side angle, right hand to the sky. Big breath in. Exhale, low lunge, bring your hands down to the earth. So you unhook your right heel, the right knee to the ground. Lengthen out your left leg, half splits. Or feel free to go to your full splits if you want to. And if that's available. Take one more breath here, and then we'll explore second side. For some reason, 60 minutes goes by so quickly. Okay. When you're ready, we're going to meet back in a low lunge. So bending into your front knee, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Just take a mindful step forward into your forward fold. Soft knees, resetting your spine. Inhale to your halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. One more time, inhale to your half lift. This one takes us to chair pose with Katasana. Sink into your seat. Supporting with your core strength, draw your front ribs in, navel to spine. Full inhale for length. And then exhale to airplane your arms beside you. As you shift your energy to your right foot, come to your left tippy toes to begin. And then maybe start to flamingo your left heel to your seat. When you feel ready to do so, you're going to root through the strength of your right foot and rise up one-legged Tadasana, full breath. You choose figure four or tree pose. Adding a little extra space into our left hip before we hit our Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, second side. So now you have a little more information in your body from the first side, but also right and left sides, especially in our hips, tend to be very, very different. So allowing space for this side to be its own experience. When you're ready to find your transition to your half moon, the key is to go really slow, to stay active through your body throughout the transition. So we're going to find our way to our one-legged Tadasana first. Again, I like to look down at the ground in front of my yoga mat, so maybe that's helpful for you too. Find a bend to your right knee that's going to help your right hip stay a little happier. Think about a big circle sweep action through your left leg. Go super slow. Don't try to rush into the extension of your left leg. See how it feels to move to a half moon from this lifted space. Oftentimes you're coming from a side angle or a warrior two. If you want to, you can start to tip your left shoulder back. Give it maybe one more breath. Active through your outer left glute. And then that slow transition into your warrior two. You're going to bend through your right knee. And place your left foot to the earth. Maybe fall over. Okay, here we go. One time, reverse your warrior. And the first thing I said re-lengthen, but why don't we just say lengthen through your right side body, elongate through your right side body. It's probably more proper grammar. And on your exhale, side angle, shift forward. So one more big breath in. Hands to the earth, low lunge. As you unhook your back heel, bring your left knee to the ground. Half splits or full splits, you choose. Take about 3 cycles of breath. And we'll be transitioning to the back body. Think about the length of your spine as a piece of this posture. So this is not just about the right hamstring. And this is the entire body in this shape. Let your mind and your breath be right there with you. And then when you're ready to make your transition out, again, this is all in your own time. So if you feel called to stay in your hamstring stretch longer, listen to your body. Otherwise, bend into your front knee. We're going to step forward into our forward fold again. So just lifting through your back knee. Big step to the top of your yoga mat. Maybe take your feet a little bit wider than hips distance and hang out in your forward fold for a second. Allowing your spine to decompress. The weight of your skull release to the earth. Think about a lift of your sits bones to the sky. Maybe an inhale to a halfway lift for a little reset. On your exhale, go ahead and bend your knees and have a seat to the ground. Okay, before we lower to our back body, we are going to do one more thing actually. We're going to take a wide-legged forward fold. So you can rotate to use the length of your yoga mat if you want, or you can stay facing forward, whatever works for your space. If you would prefer to continue with a more hamstring-focused stretch, you can do your traditional seated forward fold, legs long, Paschimottanasana. Otherwise, we'll take the wide-legged version today. So legs go wide, flexing your toes to the sky. Untuck the flesh of your booty out from beneath your sits bones. So instead of rounding back, you get this forward tilt in your pelvis. Also, side note, the distance of your legs will change where you feel the stretch in your body. So that the more narrow your legs are, the more hamstring oriented. And as you open up, you start to get the inseams of the legs. So strengthen through your legs, energize your quads, and on your inhale, lift your chest. Use your exhale to lead with your heart forward and down towards the earth. Maybe you go like 1 inch or 2 inches. Maybe you can go pretty far down, it doesn't matter. But continue to lengthen and strengthen through your legs. We'll take 3 cycles of breath in whatever variation of a forward fold you're in. Maybe sway a little bit from side to side. Okay. As always, feel free to take some more time here. If you are ready to release slow, use your hands to slowly support you up. Use your hands to help your knees bend into your body. Rotate to face the front of your yoga mat again if you pivoted. Create your heel anchors in the earth, so feet about hips distance. Flex your feet to the sky, toes to the sky, and dig your heels down. So you inhale, reach up. And then on your exhale, slowly start to lower all the way down. Use the strength of your core to arrive you to the back of your body with control. Full body stretch is your inhale. And the knees to chest as you exhale. An eagle wrap your right thigh on top of your left. Feel free to cross at your ankles if you want, otherwise just zip your shins together. Take a breath in. On your exhale, gently tip your knees over to the left for your eagle leg twist. Reach out wide through your right arm. Maybe take your gaze over to the right. If you wanted a shoulder stretch here for the muscles around your left scapula, your shoulder blade, take your left arm, and from this capital T space, you're going to reach your left hand towards your right bicep. You're just going to let your left arm drape across your chest. And then maybe your right hand pulls your left arm a little bit further. So think about kind of like that PE stretch that we do. The left arm's across your chest, right hand would be pulls. It's very similar to that thread the needle variation in child's pose that we were taking when you're facing the earth. Shoulders out of ears, we breathe. If you have that shoulder stretch, that arm stretch, let your wings go wide for a breath. Just back in your traditional eagle leg twist. Then slowly start to unwind your legs. Use your core to bring your knees back to center. Draw your knees into your body. And then second side, left leg wraps around your right. Take a breath in. On your exhale, knees tip over to the right, eagle leg twist, second side. Start maybe just with the capital T in your arms. Sometimes the right shoulder blade will get stuck underneath the body in transition, so you can untuck your right shoulder blade. If you wanted to add in the arm stretch, right arm is going to reach across your body. You can bend at your elbow. And then maybe left hand facilitates the stretch. Shoulders out of ears, you use your left hand to pull your right arm across your heart space. This combination of a twist and shoulder stretch, I stole from Casey Peterson. So if you've ever taken her class, She's incredible, as you would know. If you haven't, I highly recommend her. Her class always feels like PT for my body, so it's really good at balancing everything out, helping to get us out of our habitual patterns of movement. Taking a big breath in, fill the back of your body with air. And then on your exhale, open your arms wide. Breathing here for a moment. Just start to unwind your legs. So undo the eagle wrap, and then start to bring your knees into your body. I'd love you to take one more stretch, maybe like a happy baby, or just nose to knees if you'd like. Nice full inhale, and then as you're ready, your exhale is going to take you into your Shavasana. Start to release out into your final relaxation. Allow your eyes to close. And perhaps you take a deep breath in through your nose. Maybe an open mouth exhale, letting that breath go. And this final pause at the end of your practice, and an opportunity to practice settling back in that seat of the mindful observer, of witnessing awareness, so that we can transform trigger and reaction to stimulus and response, creating this sacred pause in our day. It helps us to tap into our deepest power, that is mindful choice. Gently start to shift your attention back to the flow of your breath. As you feel the rise of your inhale and the release of your exhale, feel all of your focus turn to your body, your breath, in this present moment. Maybe take a moment to check in with your heart, your mind, and your intention again. Maybe start to bring some gentle movement back into your body. And if it feels true, You might bring one or both hands to your heart. Holding that intention at your heart space. Feeling it reach out your entire being, maybe taking it with you into the rest of your day and the rest of your week, maybe the rest of this year. And close our practice with another cleansing breath. As you're ready, take a deep breath in. Then open mouth, exhale out. Yoga offers us a path to compassion. And may our practices serve as our teachers, guiding us to live with authenticity and to love deeply each and every day. Thank you so much for taking this time to be present in your body, taking this time to create space in your day, to be in deeper connection and integration with your entire being. One more breath in. And one more open mouth, exhale out. Namaste.